Hi, buddy. Welcome to the Bex Show.
Thank you for having me. Freaking cheers.
Cheers, my friend. I'm so glad you were able to be here.
I'm stoked. I need a drink.
Yeah, you're good. You've got this.
I need a drink on the Bex Show.
A drink on the Bex Show.
Yeah, I'm ready.
And the drink of choice is
Cider.
cider. I love it.
Sponsored by this cider. I don't know what brand it is, but we like it.
It is good. I do love a good cider. I feel like cider is quite an English drink.
Do you?
Yeah.
You know what? It sounds English.
Like-
I actually have no idea. Where does cider come from?
I have no idea.
Yeah, we'll call it British.
Because over in England, we have it on tap, and it's not so much on tap here. Like if you go for a beer or like some wine and they don't have wine, you get a cider and it's on tap.
I don't think we have. You know what? It's been a while since I've lived in Australia, so maybe we do, but I'm going to say we don't. I'm just going to say, yeah, it's British. Straight up, it's British.
Straight up, it's British.
Thank you, England. Thank you very much.
So, my friend, let's talk about you. I want you to tell me how'd you get here?
Oh,
How
God.
did you get here?
Look, I like to think of how I've gotten here as, so I was going in one direction. I had a very clear sight.
Yeah.
Okay. And you know the analogy of like, you knock on a door, right? And you hope that it opens.
Yep.
Okay. And people like it didn't open, so they just stood there and they bashed at it.
Yep.
Okay. That's not what happened for me.
You went next door.
No, not next door. I went to the door like 17 corridors down, underground, take a secret trap door, like don't pass go, don't pass $100. Like and the door was somewhere down there. And I've walked through several of those doors.
Amazing.
And now I'm here.
That's awesome. See, I went straight to the penthouse. Got very lucky.
Oh, hell yeah.
And
I
here
like
am.
that, honestly, and here we are on the Bex Show penthouse suite.
In the penthouse.
In the penthouse. Cheers.
Cheers, mate. Okay, so how long have you been here in Canada for?
This is coming on 5 years, and I actually just got invited to sit my citizenship exam.
That's amazing. Congrats, because that is a big thing over
It's a
here.
big thing. Yeah.
And you really have to study for that. You got to be in the know.
Okay, you're scaring me. Haven't
No,
studied yet.
It's a thing. Like you have to get the app and you have to like
Yeah,
know
it's a
the
whole thing.
president back in 09,
09. Which is,
1900s. I mean, you know.
no, and also 09, you know? And
Yep.
that's honestly a while ago now.
It
So
is,
That's
but-
15 years.
That's exciting.
Yeah. So I've been here 5 years. How did I get here? How did I end up here? I'm an actor and I'm an assistant director
Yep.
here in Canada. My trajectory was I did drama school,
Yep.
did that, toured theatre around Australia, did a couple of national tours. And then I moved from my home city of Brisbane to the city of Sydney. Bright lights,
Yep.
you know, the whole thing. Great. And then I think I kind of got to a point in Sydney where I realized, you know, I had more opportunity there and that was great. But there's kind of only so far you can go.
Absolutely. Especially, I did live in Australia, so I get it.
Did you?
I did.
When did you live in Australia?
I lived in Australia from 2011 to 2012.
What?
I
Where?
lived in Sydney. I'm surprised you didn't know this.
You were in Sydney just before I moved. Well, a few years before I moved there then.
So on my 18th birthday, I moved to Australia. I said to my parents, I want to move to Australia. They were like, off you go. My dad was a cop.
Yeah.
So it's really shocking that they were like, here you go.
Yeah.
They booked me in a hostel
Yeah.
for like female only for 2 weeks and was like, off you go. And I honestly think moving to Australia was what started my life and my career.
Crazy.
Yeah. So that's super crazy.
Where in Sydney were you living? Do you remember the suburb?
Surrey Hills?
You were in Surrey Hills. I was Redfern.
That's
We were neighbours.
neighbours, baby.
We probably went to the same coffee shops, same things. Okay, I would like to revisit this in a moment, but
Yeah.
do you understand how much I miss brunch since moving to Canada?
See, I didn't think brunch was a thing when I was there.
Okay.
So, but you were on a brunch train in Sydney, like that's a full. You know, you can have brunch here. Like,
It's not the same.
is it? Why is it not the same? Is it like an?
What do you mean it's not the same? What do you mean?
So
how
in
do I mean?
England, brunch, which they do at like 5 o'clock, which is crazy. I only realized this when I went home.
Yeah.
They do this brunch thing, and it's all you can drink for like 2 hours, and then you have a little meal on the side, and they call that brunch.
Okay. That's distinctly British as well.
When in England,
No, brunch is like, brunch just everywhere you go in Sydney and Melbourne in particular. There's brunch culture. It's a whole other like meal
Yep.
that exists.
what are the hours?
All day.
Okay, so it's
All
not
day,
there.
but not just on weekends like they do here.
Yep.
This is a 7 days a week,
brunch.
like critical part of the Australian diet kind of thing. Okay, this is like,
Is kangaroo and brunch.
yeah, we
Yeah.
We take brunch very seriously in Australia.
You know, I'm going to come home with you next time you go home. I'm just going to like...
Oh, I could take you on like 1 month, every day a different brunch spot in Sydney.
Oh my God.
Like
we could make our own little podcast on the road, the brunch show.
Of just the brunch show. And let me take you through why the rest of the world needs to get on board.
Get on board.
Yeah, I really miss brunch. So yeah, we have, it's a whole thing. And it's in particular that it's, everywhere has their own spin on brunch. There's every, you know, like Mediterranean style brunches.
Okay.
Like, you know, you can't get baked eggs here.
That is true.
You can't get them.
You can't.
I haven't found a single place.
Everything's eggs in a can. Or
Vancouver, Canada, figure this out. Someone, okay?
Yeah.
You know, get on that.
I hear you. So
I miss that.
Brunch.
We're loving brunch. That's a side note that we need to keep on the side.
You know when I think of Sydney?
What?
We've gone well off track.
Yeah.
But Sydney, have you ever seen the TV series Dance Academy? Mm-hmm. One of my favorite TV shows ever.
Yeah.
I'm truly obsessed with it. It's
Crack
amazing.
Crack up. Yep.
And it sounds like it's so stupid, but it's not. It's so Ballycore. I love it. And I know a couple of people that were on it. And I didn't realize that I knew them. And then one day someone was like, someone had a birthday party and they made it all Dance Academy themed. And I was like,
I'm ready.
oh my God, how did I not clock that? That was you. Obsessed.
Oh.
Yep. Totally obsessed. Dance Academy for life. I just think of that little studio under the Harbour Bridge.
The Harbour Bridge.
Sign me up. Okay, so we're in Sydney. And
we're in Sydney. We're doing the thing.
Let's go.
I have just finished. So I had an unusual start as an actor in that normally the reality of acting is you graduate from acting school, whatever. And then you're like, cool, I'm ready to go. And then you spend 17 years auditioning and waiting tables.
Literally.
That's what you do. I lucked out and I graduated from university and I had a job in hand before I left.
Amazing. I bet everyone loved you.
Wasn't popular. So I had a touring theatre gig. I travelled with a big national theatre company for 10 months. And it was like, I think you're just preparing. My whole thing was I thought I was like ready for not working. And so I was ready to do my honours program, ready to go. I was going to apply for the States and try and do a master's in either acting or directing. I wanted to go to the States and do that. And then this job landed in my lap. And so I started touring. And that then meant I was living the life of Riley.
Amazing.
For working every day as an actor, touring. And then that finished. So I had this very delayed response to what the reality of acting is.
Yeah, because you think, oh, well, I'll get my next one. And then those last 2 or 3 weeks, you're like, fuck, I don't have my next thing. It's scary. Yeah. It's really scary.
So I did that. And then I was like, cool, I need to find a way to support myself when I'm not acting, but still be available 24/7 to go and audition and do everything, you know? The life. So I had this great idea that I would be a makeup artist. Because I was like, how do you make money, etc. And that had always been another thing because I grew up dancing, do all that stuff. Yeah. So I was like, great, I'll be a makeup artist. I went and did my Cert 2 in beauty and retail makeup.
Oh, wow.
In between the first tour and second tour. And while I was there, somebody saw something that I'd drawn and was like, oh, you should do the cinema makeup course. And I was like, what's that? Yeah. And then it was like they opened the door and I turned left and there were all these kids making prosthetics and
all that kind of
stuff. And I was like, what is that? And so I then kind of got credit and could fit it in. I was booked to do another tour in 6 months and they kind of squeezed me in to do my diploma of cinematographic makeup. So I then went and learned how to do prosthetics and all that kind of thing.
Amazing.
So I went on tour and then I moved to Sydney and I worked. My bread and butter gig was I worked in film makeup in Sydney, predominantly commercials, music videos, that sort of thing. And that was really interesting because I'm always behind the scenes that way.
Yep.
And I got a real taste for being on that side of the camera. And I think I realized that you can be a better actor if you know
100%
that. And so I was like, oh, cool. It also gave me the one thing that I find no one really talks about this as an actor. You have to maintain an ego not in a negative way, but it's really, everyone talks about you get rejected and you get rejected and you get rejected. But I haven't heard many people talk about how do you take the rejection and then stay confident enough to show up and back yourself and know that you've got the goods to to be the person that takes the job in the end.
It's hard.
So for me, working in production has been my way of like maintaining self-respect and maintaining my my ego, like feeling like I can hold my head up and say like, because when you say I'm an actor and people are like, what have you worked on? And you haven't worked on anything in a little bit or whatever, or you've auditioned lots but you haven't booked the thing or whatever, it sucks getting that question.
It totally does.
So,
and it's hard to
bolster and to kind of like, you know, and then people go like, oh, well, you know, maybe next, like that's a crappy place to be in. And so to counteract that, for me, working in production has been because I can always say, I'm working on this project, I'm working with this company, with this director, with this whatever.
Yeah.
And it allows me to kind of also foot in the door the whole time and 100%. You're watching.
There's nothing nicer than being at the monitors. And I don't know if you've ever experienced this.
Yeah.
You've auditioned for something. You don't even hear anything because that's the world we live in. There's not even a rejection. You're like, you know, you just don't hear it.
Yeah.
And you're on set and you're like, holy shit, this is what I auditioned for. And you watch the person that did it. And sometimes in my mind, I'm like, wow, I would never have thought to do it that way. I completely see why you got that job.
Yeah.
Because in my mind, I'm like, I'm the best for the job. This is it. Especially being British.
Yeah.
You know, I have different roles that come through. They're looking for someone British. I'm like, great, that's mine. And nothing pisses me off more when they hire an American or a Canadian.
Yeah.
But then I see them do it and I'm like, incredible.
Yeah.
You know, and it's interesting to see and learn. And it also has gone the other way. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
It goes each way and it's really interesting to see.
I think it's also a way of, for me, because that's definitely happened. And I've also had the situation where it's gotten down to me and one other person or so forth. And I know that. And then it hasn't gone my way. And then I happen to have been assistant directing on that show here. So it's a particularly tough day
to tough.
Turn up. And then like you're like meeting that actor and you're like,
you're getting them through hair and makeup. You're bringing them to set. Do you want a coffee?
Do you want a coffee?
I'm kidding. I would never. But like you're doing all the things to prepare the actor for getting on set.
Yeah.
So it's fucking frustrating.
It's hard.
But at the same time, everything happens for a reason.
Yeah. But I think the flip side of that though is it also means that when I see the person who's got it, in this particular example, the person physically was the opposite to me. Like
that helps.
Yeah, everything. And so I was like, it was just they went a completely different direction.
Yeah.
Also just the way their take on it was like the opposite to mine.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, but that's interesting. And and it's like, okay, cool. It was just a choice. It was just that director, that producer, that everybody is looking at it and going like, this is right for the piece that we're making and our spin on it. And it kind of allows you to go, there's nothing, it's not you, there's nothing you could have changed or done differently. You're, great. Like,
and it's also opinion. I don't know.
Totally.
I don't know if you've ever been in the room before, and I witnessed this recently, where an assistant came over to the director and went, "Okay, who do you want for this role?" And I could see exactly what role it was because it was on the slate. It shows them the audition. They didn't watch the whole thing, and I couldn't even hear it. So I'm like, that must be on mute.
Yeah.
And they literally went, third one, and that's how it was done. And I was like, wow.
Yeah.
You're in a stressed out mindset. You spent 45 seconds on...
Not even. A lot
and
of
I'm
the time.
like, it makes you go, you know what? That was based on looks that time.
Yeah,
and you
totally.
witness things and you're like, okay, like...
So for me, it's like allowed me to take a massive step back from it being on the production side and going like, cool, it's not personal. It's just... It's a set of circumstances and you've kind of just got to keep swinging.
Oh, 100%.
But the other massive thing about being on the production side is that you get to like... it's a study. So being on the production side, from whatever perspective, it's a study on how everybody behind the scenes is responding to the way you're presenting yourself. And I don't mean you're acting or whatever work you're doing. I mean like you as a person showing up and being part of the entire crew and the entire team.
Yep.
And that's been a real... it's interesting watching how some people choose to conduct themselves in that and how that's been surprising to me and going like, cool, everybody's lovely to that person, but if they're being a dick, like everyone knows. Everyone knows.
Truly.
Everyone speaks about it, everyone notices and so forth.
Politics.
Yeah, the politics of it. And so it's like it's useful to see that side of it too.
Yeah.
and to know that that does actually matter.
It does
And
matter.
so, like, turn up and be a decent person. And the other side of it is that when you see people who are fantastic, who treat everybody, like the person that brings them a coffee, the person that, like, the person who's, like, emptying their trash bags at the end of the night and whatever. And if they show up and they're a nice person to all of those people, that's also noticed.
100%.
And then everybody wants them to be there on set. And then on top of that, it's just an acting class. You're just sitting and watching everybody go through the technical exercise of acting day in and day out. So
and
it's
you want
great.
to help them.
Yeah, it's great.
People who come to set and are so nice and do all those things.
Yeah.
If you need 2 more minutes, I'm going to tell them you're in the bathroom. You do you. I got you, brother.
You got you.
But if you're not great, I'm going to throw you straight into that bus. I have no shit. Like, you know what I mean? And that's the mentality that people have. Anyway, I do want to circle back to how you got to Canada.
How I got to Canada. Okay, did that. Worked as a makeup artist, worked as an actor, and was like, cool, there's a ceiling on where I want to go. Where else can I go? Yeah. And it's always been the States for me because predominantly the content that we're getting is American. We get British content, but we get American content predominantly. So I was looking in America. It's very difficult to get a visa to go to America.
It's so fucking hard.
Very difficult. But guess what? Australia is a Commonwealth country, and so is Canada. And I worked out that Vancouver was colloquially known as Hollywood of the North.
Truly. So much better. So much easier.
And it was like, oh, I just apply for a visa and I can go. So I applied for the visa, and then, like, I think 3 months later, I had my ticket to come to Canada.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And so I moved. And about, I think, 5 months later, I got here. 5 months later, whole country shut down, COVID. So really nailed my timing.
We got here at the same time.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, I think we had the same experience.
Yeah.
Got here, ready to go. I'm like, cool, here's where my life begins.
Yep.
Cancel that.
What'd you do in COVID?
Okay. I like to call it the apocalypse job.
We all have one.
Yeah, we have one. I had 2.
Okay, tell me all about
So in order
them.
to survive, at that point, I wasn't eligible for any, like, any kind of government assistance, anything, because obviously I'd never paid taxes here. I was a brand new person.
No EI, baby.
None of that.
Sink or swim.
Sink or swim. And it was like, I don't know, trying to do breaststroke and butterfly at the same time. It was a mess. Okay, got here. I took a job as, first of all, I took a job as a virtual assistant.
Okay, that's cool.
So I worked full time in, I think I worked like 40 hours a week as a virtual assistant. So I could do that anytime, which is great. But I did it for fairly minimum pay.
Okay.
So a fairly minimum wage. And let me tell you, the Australian minimum wage is real good.
Yes.
So that was a shock to the system.
Yes.
That was hard
But you were
because
swimming.
Vancouver's really expensive.
Yeah.
So I did that. So marketing, social media management, all that, copywriting, whatever. And then on top of that, I took another job where, this is the apocalypse job. I worked as like a sort of office manager, office administrator.
Okay.
So it's a big financial firm in Vancouver, headquarters in Vancouver. They have offices in Dubai, London, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Okay. So they were like, oh no, we've got a global pandemic. We can't possibly put our employees at risk, our 400 employees that work at risk.
Them at risk.
So we'll just put somebody else to hold the thing. Because they set everybody else up to work from home, but they couldn't physically not have somebody in the office.
Perfect.
So they were like, we're going to put someone who's expendable who in the office. Cue me, desperate, ready to go. I'm like, absolutely. Put me in the firing line. Let's go. So it was me working. I worked 40 hours a week for them. Running their...
So you were doing 80 hours a week?
I did 80 hours a week for minimum wage in Canada. And I made less.
You probably made like $28 an hour combined.
Yeah. Yeah, it was rough.
That's wild.
It was rough. And I did that for, I think it ended up being like 14 or 15 months.
Holy, that's a long... Oh, see, my pandemic job lasted 3 months.
Oh, what?
So, yeah.
No.
So what I did... Okay, so... I was working at an events company whilst auditioning and acting and doing the things.
Yeah.
And everything shut down. And I was on a hot streak. Like, I was doing well. I was like, this is it.
Hell yeah.
I'm great.
Great.
This is me.
Booked
I'm
and busy.
set. Booked and busy. And then I booked a job and it got cancelled because of COVID. And it never came back. Anyway. So my husband also worked at an events company and it just got shut down. So he's playing. No, he wasn't a firefighter back then.
He's a firefighter now.
He's a firefighter now.
Yeah.
We're very proud. But yeah, so that will shut down because it's like, you can't even look at anyone. It's coronavirus.
Yeah.
And he's applying for jobs on Indeed. And he must have applied for like 90 jobs.
Yep.
This one job gets back to him. I'm even going to tell you the company name. It was Sobeys, like where you get your groceries from. So they're like, yeah, we're interested. Like, come on in, do an interview. He was like, look, I was his girlfriend at the time. My girlfriend needs a job. She's super competent. Cue me. Sign me up. So we go in and we interview together.
Bex pops around the corner and be like,
hello.
I hear you're looking for somebody.
So we go in and we do this interview and I was like, okay, can't be too obnoxious. Can't go in and be like, well, I'm an actor. I was like, oh, well, I'm experienced in lots of things in life and I feel like I can lift. We ended up getting a job at Sobeys in a freezer warehouse doing the 4 a.m. till 12 o'clock shift. I was like...
And that's COVID, baby.
That's COVID,
That's
baby.
COVID in Vancouver.
I was the only... There was me and there was another woman. She was insane. And you wore these little headsets.
Wouldn't be a COVID story if there wasn't.
And you drove around on this
Karen.
little machine and you'd carry things and lift things.
Oh, see, that sounds good. What machine?
Horrible.
You got to drive though.
You drive the machine. That soon wears off. Everyone was nice enough with me.
Yeah.
But we were the only Western people there, I will say. So there's definitely this element of people had their pods and I'm like, sign me up to any pod. I'll hang out with you. And they'd be like, no. It was a really, really interesting dynamic.
Right.
So I would infiltrate all the little pods at lunch.
Yeah.
And I'd be having my lasagna
high school.
at 6 a.m. lasagna. Nothing. Yeah. We'd go to bed at
Nothing beats a 6 a.m. lasagna.
Dude, it was great. We had a good time. And then
quick side note, pasta of choice.
Carbonara.
Carbonara?
Yours?
Lasagna.
Oh, slay.
I
don't think lasagna's a pasta though, is it?
Oh, 100%.
Okay.
What do you mean? It's not. What do you think it is?
Well, it's just a dip. I don't know.
Wait, you're saying lasagna is not a pasta?
It's more of a dip. I don't think lasagna is a pasta.
Wow. Okay. This is something that I need to come back. We could have a whole episode on this.
We'll loop back.
We'll loop. Carry on.
6 a.m. lasagna.
6 a.m. lasagna.
And then by the end of it, I made friends with everyone. And then they loved me. They put me on the flowers. So there was a little flower section. And because I'm one of the only girls, they'd be like, oh, she can just do
She can do the flowers.
So my husband would do all the heavy
lovely.
lifting, the milk.
In the freezer box? The flowers in the freezer box?
Just on the outskirts. They were on the left. It was fridge temperature.
They're on the left? How big is this freezer?
Oh, it's massive. It's a massive warehouse.
The whole thing's a freezer?
The whole thing's a big, because you have to keep everything cold. So you just wear layers on layers. And you'd be moving and lifting things so you don't really feel the cold as much.
How cold is a freezer box?
I don't know, but it was cold. So I do the flowers anyway.
Freezing is 0. Freezing point is 0. So I'm thinking you're in -10.
No, I think we were at probably 0.
Okay.
So it's a big fridge, but semi-freezer.
Semi-freezer.
Some stuff was frozen.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was cold. Anyway, 3 months and I never had to do it again. And I don't put it on my resume.
Why? But can work in freezing conditions. Can work in frozen conditions. Can work in frozen conditions for an unreasonable amount of time. Very good at picking flowers in freezer boxes.
I didn't have to pick them. They were already the sun's coming.
That's a lovely glow. You look great.
You look great.
Oh my God, stop.
No, so no one trained me, so I didn't realize the flowers.
That is a classic.
But I'm maybe me, and I'm it's fine, I can do this. I didn't realize 100%. The flowers had water in the bottom of them. So I made this palette.
It's frozen. What do you mean?
Well, this is in the fridgy section.
Okay, sorry, hang on.
So I have these flowers and I put them in different ways. Yeah. And I had this tail of water. I was like, that's weird. Everywhere I go, water follows me. Turns out, because I put the flowers upside down, the water was leaking.
Shocker.
Anyway, truly.
Shocker. But you can do anything.
I genuinely think, don't you feel with the backgrounds that we have, I do genuinely think I could do anything. If someone was like, oh, she's a painter, I'd be like, yeah, I can do that.
100%.
Yeah. And I'd always figure it out.
Yeah. I think that's the name of the game in staying in it and moving, just constantly being an actor and going, and all these other things, is you kind of just have to, it's just a constant yep, yes, I can.
Yeah.
Yes, I can. And then you furiously go home. It's like a swan, where they're they look great on the top, but then the underside is blah, blah, blah. That's me. And that's you.
Yeah.
And that's every actor that's hustling away. Can you
cut someone's hair? Yes. Didn't say I could do it fucking well, but I figure it out.
That's exactly what just happened on the weekend. So I went to the Taylor Swift concert.
Yes, you did.
Yes, I did. And I'd met a girl was flying over. So 4 of us going. One of the girls that was coming, never been overseas. First trip, flew in. She's
From Australia?
From Australia.
Jesus, that's a long flight.
Just to see Taylor Swift.
Wow.
She was here. She's a nurse.
Australians taking all the tickets.
Yep, that's us. Here we are. Honestly, we're not sorry. We're
Taylor gods were looking down.
They were looking down. And she flew over. She was here for, I think, 3.5 days total. So it was like, because she couldn't get the time off from work to come
But it's still a week because by the time you've flown over.
Yeah, so it's 3.5 days in Canada, but she's actually spent 17 days away from Australia. So that's how far it is. So
Yep.
Yes. So she was here for 1 month and 12 days.
Okay.
3 of those were in Canada. The rest of them were all transit. Okay. Anyway.
She left on Wednesday.
She
Still on the plane.
She's still on the plane. She's still flying. She's still going. Anyway, she came to Australia. I've met this girl. She comes to my house. We're doing the Taylor party pre-game before we go to the concert. Okay, she gets there. We're like, here we go. Woo! Taylor. And then she goes, hey, I really want bangs. I'm like, at this point, we're like, I've made 3 or 4 cocktails, Taylor Swift inspired cocktails and so forth. And I'm like, 100% I can cut your hair. How do you want your bangs? Quickly watch the YouTube tutorial. Cut them.
Did she get like the full bangs or like
full bangs? It wasn't just like a sweeping side fringe or something. No, she wanted she wanted bangs.
I love that.
Yeah.
I think we need more of that. I always see hairdressers being like, you can't do this. You can do whatever the fuck you want. And it always works out.
So
always wear a hat. Like it always works out.
It's fine.
It's
anyway,
totally fine.
Just funny that you brought up cutting hair. And I'm like, yes, actually.
I endorse that.
Yeah, did it. It's fine. She looked great. She actually really liked them. Honestly, I think they looked great.
That's amazing. And that's a good story. She's going to go home. Well, if she's not home, but she's still flying.
She's still flying. She's not home for several weeks.
She's going to go home. People are like, oh my God, I love your hair. And she's going to be like, oh my God, 9 years ago when I was in Canada.
Up. By the time she gets there, it's going to be completely grown up. She's here. So, yeah.
When in Australia. Now, does it annoy you?
Mm-hmm.
And I say this because it annoys me, and I'm not even Australian.
Okay.
When people like go, oh, like where in New Zealand are you from? I guess it's more New Zealand people.
Where in New Zealand are you from? Don't ever ask that. So bad. No,
it's the worst.
That's rough.
You know what? How many people say to me, "Oh, where in Australia are you from?" And I pick a new place every fucking time.
What's your favorite? What's your go-to?
Perth. Western Australia.
Yeah. We don't.
Townsville.
Townsville's all right. You can go to Townsville. It's East Coast. You want East Coast in Australia.
You do.
Firmly East Coast.
Where are you from? The Great Barrier Reef.
From the reef.
Which is now officially declared dead.
Nemo's my brother. Yep.
Nemo's my brother.
Bruce raised me.
Do you see many snakes in Australia?
Yeah. Heaps. So there was
straight into it.
Yeah. Okay. So I'd just like to say, before we get into this, snakes good, spiders fine, bugs no bueno.
Yeah.
I don't like bugs. I don't like bugs at all. I don't like cockroaches. I don't like but you want spiders, you want snakes because they keep the other stuff away. So
I hate snakes so much.
Really?
Yep.
Nah, I like snakes.
No.
I'm not keen on lizards though. So fine with them from a distance.
Yep.
Okay, the whole thing is when I was a kid, like little garden skinks, like they're like this big.
Yep.
Do you know what a skink is?
No, I don't.
It's a small common garden lizard.
Okay.
They're like small brown lizards everywhere. Completely harmless. They basically feed the bird population of Australia. That's what they're there for. Yep. Okay.
So they serve a purpose at least.
They serve a purpose. Yep. They are food. They're bottom of the ladder.
Yep.
That's what they're there for. Okay. Skinks, food. Great.
Copy.
Okay. So when I was a kid, we had this back fence, wooden slat fence, and it's always hot, but it would be hot in the afternoon when the sun hit it. And so there'd always be skinks lined up sunbaking.
Yeah.
On the lizard.
It's my time to shine.
It's their time. And so as a little kid, I'm talking like 4 or 5 years old.
Yeah.
We would do the thing where you go and catch a skink and you get like an old empty peanut butter jar and you poke holes in the lid and you put it in there with a twig and you watch it for like 20 minutes and then you're like, okay, we'll set it free now. That was fun. You know? So
Same.
classic.
The classic.
The classic catch a skink afternoon situation.
Yep.
Anyway, there was this one particular memory that's like burned in my mind where what?
I feel like you're going to be like, we caught a rattlesnake and we just fucked with it and prodded it.
No, it's worse. This is why I don't like lizards. So I put the skink in and I'm like, I caught the lizard. I'm like running back holding the lizard by the tail. And I'm like, Mommy, look, here's the lizard. And she goes, oh, I remember my mum's face. And she goes like, oh. And I looked at it and I'm like, what? And I looked at the lizard. Skinks have the ability to drop their tails.
Oh, horrendous.
So I'm like 5 and I am holding a squirming tail.
Oh, not such a win.
Nah. Don't like lizards. Can't do lizards. So
We don't like lizards.
don't like lizards. I like them, but I don't. I like have a an ingrained like.
So I find there's some
reaction.
sketchy animals over here. I'd never seen a gopher before. That's super foreign to me.
Yeah. There's a lot of animals. Okay, so also, I would like to go on record saying something that really surprises me about Canadians, and I think is completely unfounded and ridiculous, is every time I meet a Canadian, and I say I'm from Australia, they're like, oh, could never go to Australia, everything can kill you. Meanwhile, they're like, let's go on a hike, and everywhere they're like, beware of the mountain lions that may pop out that you won't see until they're stalking you and you're dead.
Yeah.
Beware of the bears.
The bobcats alone.
The bobcats, the bears, the like, everything. So that, and I thought it was a joke when I first got to Canada, because this is such an Australian thing that we would do. I get to Australia, I get to Canada, okay? They're like, beware of the bears. They're like, it's cool. I'm like, what do you do if you see a bear? And they're like, ideally carry bear spray with you, make loud noises. If it charges.
Wait, do you carry bear spray?
Okay, the bear spray thing. I thought that was a joke. I thought that was a funny joke in the same way that Australians are like, yeah, shark spray. Not a, like.
No, bear spray's a thing, hon.
It's a real thing.
It's real.
The Canadians, this is a real thing. Canadians have a can, an aerosol can, with a big bear on the front. We should have brought some. Okay.
I have some in my car as well.
Great. See?
I have it on one side. I've got bear spray, and the other side I've got a knife, depending on the scenario.
Great.
And there's been several times I'm like,
yeah.
which one do I use?
Yeah, you ready?
Quite the gangster.
Quite the gangster. Honestly, I got here. I'm in Canadian Tire, which is like for Australians watching at home. This is a Bunnings equivalent, and I'm like going down the escalator, and at the bottom of the escalator, there's a big shelf with bear spray, and it's just like, it looks like a joke.
You're like, it's not April the 1st. What the fuck is
What
up?
is happening? Anyway, I thought that was the funniest thing.
That's amazing.
Because I was like, Canadians have the best sense of humor. This is hysterically funny that you guys think that an aerosol can is going to help you against a goddamn grizzly bear in the wilderness. It's a real thing, guys. They truly go out hiking in the wilderness. And I'm not talking like just, like a stroll. They go out. There are actual grizzly bears that will kill you.
They will.
Okay?
And they're looking for you. They know your
name. What you equip yourself with? Little aerosol can.
Yeah.
That's what you get.
Have you ever smelled it before?
No. Why would I smell it?
Next time we're together and we're outside, let's spray some.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Fuck it.
Right,
let's do it.
Yeah. Okay. We'll get some air spray. Anyway, that's a real thing. So I would just to make my point, spiders and snakes, grizzly bear, lion.
Yeah, no, you're right. Okay.
Why are they scared of Australia?
I know. It's just...
When they're like, everything can kill you. I'm like, no, you have actual, like, giant predatorial animals.
I know, but, like, the thing
is,
if a bear gets you...
You're done.
Yeah, but if a snake gets... Yeah.
No, you've got time. Also, people say you've got time. So also, as in Australia, okay, your question was, do we have snakes? Yes, we had a python when I was growing up.
Like pet python?
No, it just lived in the garden. His name was Monty. And he was a big, like a 3-meter diamond python. Yeah. Huge thing. They're like, like body like that thick. Like
file.
That thick.
Huge.
Big boy. But you want those because a python is not poisonous and they're territorial. So if you have one of those, you have no rats, you have no mice,
but
you don't
still
have
horrendous.
anything.
You see them bopping around the grass.
You also don't have any poisonous snakes.
Well, that's good.
That's why you want a python.
But they're constrictors, are they not?
Yeah, they are. So you can't have a small dog.
So you don't want to go near it.
Yeah, well, like,
Would
it
you go up
depends
to
on the
someone, would you
Australian.
stroke him? I don't.
Well, so there's a funny story. There was one time where my boyfriend came over for the first time to meet the family, and my sister's a big environmentalist, big everything, and the RSPCA, which is like the
That's what we call it in England.
Oh, great. Okay,
RSPCA.
they call it the BCSPCA or something.
PQRTLO
JKFT.
over here.
Yeah,
Always messing about with the names.
yeah. It's
Too much.
too much, Canada. Sort that out. So we're doing this thing. We've made like 17,000 cupcakes. They're all animals. It's all like animal.
Yeah.
Okay, my boyfriend comes over. He's never met the family. We're all outside. We've got like
Here's my python.
the roof slopes.
Yep.
Right? Right onto the back patio area. We're all sitting around. And he thinks I set him up to this day. I didn't know. Okay, so I bring like a plastic chair for him to sit on.
No.
It just so happened that where I'd put his chair was like just where the roof stops.
Yeah.
His chair was there. Okay, Dan has got himself a cupcake. He's sitting down. Goes to take a bite. Snake drops from the roof.
Get the. No. Was he petrified?
Yeah, well, he jumped up. It was like a giant 3-meter python just landed on him.
You're like, oh, it's Greg.
Monty.
It's Monty.
Monty's back.
Monty Python.
Anyway, Monty Python.
Yeah.
Get it?
I got it the first time.
Oh, good. Okay. Well, just checking to make sure.
So Monty Python drops down on the boyfriend, and you're like, welcome to the family.
Yeah, we're like, oh, Monty, there you go again. Anyway, so then like my brother-in-law goes over who like, this is not something I would do, but this is a very classic Australian thing. He's like, oh, Monty goes over and like picks it up.
And gives him a cupcake. Off he goes.
Takes him out. Yeah.
Oh my God. Was it like a greeny?
Green. Like, I'll
yeah.
show you a picture later. You know what? I'll give you a picture so that you can insert it in the podcast. And you can just be like, this is a picture of Monty. It's like a big python.
Monty.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
You know, the show we just worked on, one of the costume girls, she had a python. And she showed me one day, also called Monty. And he would open doors. And I'm like, do you hang out with Monty? She was like, yeah, like we just watched
he's like free roaming?
Yeah, free roams around the house.
Oh no.
And
See,
it's
I
a
don't
big
know.
white python, and he opens doors by himself.
No. See,
and I'm like,
no. See, for me, pythons is like, I'm fine with snakes, but they should be in their natural environment.
I actually I have my notebook here.
Okay.
Just because I always get
notebook.
worried that I'm going to like interview someone who's just going to be like,
You had a
boring.
whole list of questions. I think we've probably gone through
yeah.
one.
Well, it's just
Not
you
even
know,
one.
I say I'm never going to interview boring people, but on the list, where is it? Monty Python the snake. People just outright having strange fucking reptile pets. That's what I wrote down.
What?
Yeah, Monty. You see there? Like it was a talking point. It really was.
Oh.
Yeah, this girl.
And then I'm like, yeah, we've got one.
Then
Name's Monty.
Yeah.
Welcome
Is he
to
still
Australia.
alive?
Probably. They live a long time.
Wow.
Yeah, we don't have a collar on him and like keep track. He's just kind of out there.
And like, that's crazy.
Yeah, they're like, it's like, I'm not a snake person. I'm not a reptile person.
No.
But I am an animal person.
Yes.
And I'm kind of like, all creatures in their environment should be. So snakes, frogs,
Live your best life.
all the things. Like, don't touch them, leave them alone, let them do their thing.
She says putting a lizard in a peanut butter jar with a stigum.
Aside from that, that one, that got what it was coming for it, because that dropped its tail and caused me psychological scarring for the rest of my life. So
Oh my God.
depends on the skinks. But also like the name skink.
Skink.
No, you're saying with the British accent, skink. No,
Skank.
skink.
It's a skank.
It's a skank.
Oh, but we have skunks.
We also
Different
skunks.
things.
Yeah, but also stinky, you know.
Oh God,
You
I
know.
can't. Anyway, moving forward from the
Carry on.
animals.
Let's go.
I just want to say we just did a show together, which was very, very enjoyable.
We did.
And that's how we met.
That's how we met.
And I just want to say, like, thank you. I feel like you made my time on the show amazing. And I feel like we had
Likewise.
every day we would have great stories and great things to talk about.
It's never boring.
It is never, ever, ever boring.
No, it's not.
Which is truly the best things. But some of the hours we work, especially Well, it's crazy. I always love talking about self-care. I want to know what people do for self-care. So within the hours of you working and that little tiny period of time you get off, what do you do for self-care? What keeps you alive and glowy?
Okay, so I just would like to preface this by explaining to the world how many hours we have off to do that. So when you work as an assistant director, which we've met working as assistant directors on this, and what we are the first in and the last people out. My average day, I'd never do less than 16.
Which is so crazy. And
that's not including the travel to and from.
My people at home would never believe me. But big day, 8.5 hours, I'd be like, ugh, not even hit lunch at that time.
The thing that's funny is that if I have a 12-hour day, I'm like, wow, I have so much time.
Yes.
Wow.
So much energy.
So much energy. I'm like, I can go to the gym at the end of this. I can like actually sit down and make myself dinner and whatnot. Whereas the reality of working in film as an assistant director is that minimum I would do is about 75, 80 hours in a week.
Yeah.
Minimum. 75-hour week is that's a good week.
Yep.
Yeah. Plus travel on top of that. So, and like the week that I've just come off, like I finished this morning. It's currently, what time is it? It's currently almost 3 p.m. I woke up, I finished work at about 4 a.m., 1 hour outside of the zone. And that was my 6th day of work.
Wow.
This week. So in terms of self-care, today I'm coming and talking about film on the Bex Show.
On the Bex Show.
And it's therapeutic. No, truthfully.
This is my self-care.
This is my self-care. No, I think, what do I actually do? I think, for me, it's really important that no matter how tired I am when I'm if I'm in a show run, I have to book myself in to a Saturday and a Sunday morning class, like gym class.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, that's my thing because I'm like, I think if I personally don't get in and if it's me just going to a gym, like going to a gym by myself or like trying to have the motivation to go for a run or something like that, not going to happen.
Yep.
No, not going to happen. Whereas if I've paid for the class.
Yep, you got to go.
Got to go.
Gotta go, girl. Gotta go.
Gotta go. And so I turn up and I hate it. I hate getting out of bed. I'm like, I should be asleep.
Does it piss you off when everyone says good morning to you? Because that would
hate it. You know, I'm just like inside, my eyes really look dead because I'm just like, thank you.
Good morning.
Yeah. Turn up, but I always feel significantly better after doing the class.
Amazing.
Yep. And then my other big thing is I book myself in for like a routine, like they call it RMT here in Australia.
Yes.
We would just call it massage, but it's like a physio massage.
Baby.
Yes, that's exactly it. Do that routinely, and that's my sort of thing.
Love it.
Recently, though,
oh my god!
So I decided
this is a good story.
Speaking of benefits, I was like, I should use those up because they finish at the end of the calendar year, and I was like, what can you get for these benefits? It's like, one of the things is acupuncture. And I'm like, great, let's try some Chinese medicine. Let's do it. I went to sign up for acupuncture. The girl was like, have you tried facial acupuncture? And I'm like, what's facial acupuncture? She's like, it's acupuncture, but they put it in your face. I'm like, great, let's do that. Okay.
But what was the concern of the face just before we get going?
I don't know. General, like, don't make me look like I worked 85 hours this week. I don't know. I think there was no particular concern. It was honestly just like, you can do this thing. And I'm like, great.
Yeah. No, to be fair, I'd do that. I'd be like, yes.
Yeah. I think she probably told me that it has benefits and stuff, like to your skin and so forth. And I probably ate that up. And I was like,
I need it. Give it to me, baby.
Give it to me. Great.
Yeah.
Okay, so I go in, do the place. Lovely, relaxing, whatever. 32 needles went in my face, by the way. That's a lot of needles. And I was sitting there counting them as it happened because I was like, I didn't know anything about it.
How did you count them? By like pressing on them?
No, as she went, I was like, oh, that's right. Acupuncture's a needle. Why?
Oh,
and
that's horrendous.
So my self-care was to get 32 needles stuck in my face.
That's horrendous.
And then you've got to lie there and you can't move because there's needles all over your face. So they say to you, and this is the funniest thing, they go like, feels good? And you're like, I can't speak because you can't move anything. Anyway, so I'm lying there in my like torture device of like 32 needles stuck in my face being like self-care.
I love this. I love myself.
My body's a temple. Yeah, we're great. Okay, do that. she pulls the needles out 40 minutes later or something, and then she gives you like a gua sha massage and stuff. And I'm like, okay, well, that part's good.
Yeah.
Okay, I go home like, great. Look in the mirror. Bruise. Fucking bruise. I got it here. I look like I've been smacked in the eye.
Truly.
I turn up to work. Next day. And you're like, hey, Jem, did you get punched in the face on the weekend?
I totally did.
And everyone for like the last week, this is only a week ago, by the way, everyone for the last week has been like, hey, you've got something on your eye. And I'm like, no. That's acupuncture. That's facial acupuncture.
I was like, oh, poor soul. Let's unpack that on the podcast.
Yeah. So I would not recommend.
Do you feel benefits from it?
No.
Great. Cool. Let's not do that again.
Don't do that again. Apparently it's great for you. Maybe I just went to the wrong place. Maybe it just, I don't know.
Yeah, no.
I feel like 32 needles in the face is not the way to go for like self-care though in your very limited like 32-hour off time. Don't do that.
No.
No.
It's not something I'd be signing myself up for.
No. Okay.
I'm so glad we unpacked that. That's amazing.
What do you do for self-care?
I get facials.
Yeah.
And then I have 2 sets of benefits because I have my husband's as well.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I go to different places depending how bougie I'm feeling. I'll go all over the place. I go for a facial at the same place more often than not. However, I was supposed to go yesterday.
Yeah.
And we had a power outage the power was basically out all day. The only thing that kept me going was a candle. Like, it was brutal.
Okay.
And they called me and they were like, oh, you can't come in because there's no power.
We've only got a candle.
We've only got a candle. And I was like, you know what? That's fine. Mm-hmm. I was actually low-key sad. Then I was like, well, I can't do skincare at home because I can't see because it's dark. Yep. There's no power. It was painful.
Yeah.
I had like my torch shining and then I have this little thing.
Wait, did you go through with it? Did you try and self-care facial?
Yeah, I did. I did a little face peel. I did the
good.
things. I just love self-care. It's like one of my favorite things to do.
And your self-care is facials, is like skincare, nice bath, light a candle.
Love a bath.
Yeah.
I could never live in a place that doesn't have a bathtub.
This is interesting. So for me too, I'm like, I don't know that I actually have a bath that often.
Yeah.
But it's the thing that I'm like, you can't. No, there's got to be one.
However, I'm really funny.
Yeah.
When people post pictures of themselves in the bath, I zoom in and look at how dirty it is.
Sorry, what? You zoom in and look at how dirty what is?
Like, okay. So
with the water?
No, like.
The tub.
The tub. Like
the grout on the tiles?
Yeah,
is that what you mean?
Yeah. So I'm a massive clean freak.
Okay.
And like germaphobe. Well, like when people are like, oh, nice bath. I'm like, is it? Because I'll zoom in. And I'll be like, that's dirty. And I'll see their grout's got like dirt on it and mold. And like, that is fooling no one with that like poorly lit candle. Like, no.
It's not fooling Bex, that's for sure.
It's not fooling me, and I'll zoom
Bex
in.
Is zooming
I did it
in
yesterday. Someone posted something, and I was like, how clean is your house?
How many pictures of people in baths do you look at, though?
Last year, there's one celebrity uploaded a picture of her in the bath.
Yeah.
And if you zoom in, you could see her. You could literally see her on the reflection. And I'm like, she had it up for like 12 hours, and she deleted it because all the comments were like, yo, see you naked body, girl. In the reflection, and I was like, how traumatic. Imagine sat in the bath.
But she's in the bath. What do you mean that they could see her reflection?
So like, you know what, if you sit opposite the faucet, is that what it's, yeah?
Yep.
Usually if it's like metal, you can see, and it's shiny. If it's clean, you can see your reflection.
Yeah.
So this girl's taking a picture of her bath, and all you can see is her in the reflection.
Oh, she's not in the bath.
She's in the bath.
What?
But
hang on.
Okay, so you're laying down in the bath.
You're laying down in the bath.
And you sat up, and you probably be sat up.
Footsies, that was cute.
you take a picture like this, and you see your reflection, so you're seeing titties.
Oh, she's taking... Okay, got it. All
So
right.
she's not taking a selfie. She's taking a picture of cute bath, thinking that she's not in it, but she's in it because of the reflection.
Understood.
Okay, I'm going to find the picture.
I just wanted to make sure that everybody at home understood because I didn't understand. So I'm just...
So
for the people.
This girl has it up for like 12 hours. I'm like, that would be one of my worst nightmares. Something like that happening to me.
I'm
But
going to say, though, if I'm taking a picture of a bath, I'm freaking checking.
You're checking.
Like, as if
But-
you didn't notice that.
But yeah, I find people post a lot of content and I'm like, oh, why is it so dirty?
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to see you making your coffee. If
The
you've got-
mold,
if
or do
you've
you
got
mean the...
all of it, all of the above.
Okay.
I don't even have to.
Have a water. You just take a break. Take all the time you need.
Terrible.
Okay, everybody, just let's have a moment of silence for the dirt that Bex has found. She needs a minute.
I'm terrible. I am a terrible person sometimes.
How are you feeling? You okay?
I'm good. I'm good. We'll make it through.
Okay. Good.
We'll make it through.
All right.
But it's been so much fun. I've loved having you on this podcast.
Is that it? This is our time.
We're very close. We're basically close to the end. But
I'm really sorry that we have spoken about one thing this
No,
entire time.
we spoke about how you got
No, we spoke about lots of things, but you asked me about 2 questions and we got through 2 of them.
truly. But we unpacked how you got to Canada.
We did unpack how we got to
Yeah.
Canada.
Did you fly here or did you come on a boat?
Flew.
Oh yeah. Who'd you fly with? It's always a good airline for Canada.
I think it was Air Canada.
What's the kangaroo?
Qantas?
Qantas is a
Qantas.
great airline.
Qantas is a great airline. We like Qantas.
Yeah, team, send us some points.
I was going to say, Qantas, please sponsor the Bex Show.
Truly.
We'd love that. We'll do a trip to Australia. Be
And then
great.
we can do the brunch.
Then we can do the brunch. Brunch trip. Brunch podcast.
Month of brunch.
Oh, that's good. The month of brunch.
Month of brunch. And all we do is go for brunch. And get
Every single day.
absolutely hammered every day. Or not.
Yeah.
You should.
But probably.
Yeah, that'd be great.
It's likely that we'd get hammered every day.
That'd be so great.
Yeah,
We-
you're British, I'm Australian, so we're 100% getting hammered
And we've
every day.
spoken about the COVID times. And I love that we've actually gone through more or less the same journey. And like we stuck, we stuck things out in COVID and that's why we are where we are today. You know what I mean? Like we were able to be here because the
32
problem
needles,
is
facial acupuncture coming in, making sure that...
the problem is if we didn't do those shitty jobs that we didn't want to do, we would have had to leave the country because that's how it goes.
That's how it goes.
And I'm a big believer in that. You should work hard for what you get.
I think that the best thing that I did in coming to Canada was actually, as awful as COVID and everything was, and that was a rough period of time.
Yeah.
Because it was, same things happened to you. You come here, COVID happened, so the film industry died for about a year, 18 months. Then you come back and it's like you get this slither of opportunity, and then like jokes, now we're having a strike.
Yeah.
Which cancelled work for another 9 months or so.
That was so shitty.
Yeah, it's been a rough go. But you know what? And to go from kind of where I was in Australia work-wise to then coming back to the beginning and needing to like literally start again by picking up trash on film sets and so forth.
Yep.
I think that's the best thing that has happened to me in terms of me as a human.
Yeah.
Remembering going back to the beginning, going like, that's right, there is a person here who is working 18 hours a day picking up trash in order to be here. And I think that's probably made me a better human. I hope so. I hope so.
I love it.
Yeah.
And you know what? We'll part with that. You're a better human all for it. Thank you for being on the show, mate. And you should come back pretty soon. And
Anytime.
I feel like we have so much more to talk about.
We barely scratched the surface. We've got a whole month of brunch to go through.
We totally do. We'll see you on the
Month of brunch!
see you there, buddy.